Republicans are once again running every election in the country against one single opponent, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. But she seems unbothered and, in fact, highly optimistic about the Democrats' chances of taking the House. So are her House colleagues just as confident? Well, to answer that question, we're going to give you your moment of Maxine. That's all we do. Congresswoman Maxine Waters of California. I don't know if you can hear, there's a cheering section for you here, Congresswoman. They love you. Yes, absolutely. I think this is Congressman Alcee Hastings' district, but you guys can share. You are their joint shadow congresswomen, congresspeople. So thank you for being here. Let's talk about this upcoming race. How optimistic are you that the Democrats will control the House after this Tuesday?
Well, I am pretty much optimistic. We have great candidates. Everyone's been working very hard to raise a lot of money. Our candidates have been great on the issues, and it looks good. And so I am optimistic, and I'm very hopeful. And I think that this country deserves a change. And I think we can elect the kind of leaders that will take this country in the right direction.
You know, David Jolly, former Republican congressman, now actually former Republican, he said earlier on this show that the message of the other party, of the Republican Party, is about the caravan and about you, and that Donald Trump is directing a campaign against you personally to try to encourage more Republican votes. What do you make of that?
Oh, well, it's absolutely true. It is obvious that the President of the United States of America is placing a target on my back, and he keeps calling my name and lying about me in order to make the target work. So I'm not intimidated by it, but I know what he's doing. And so I just continue to do what I do, to call it like it is, to speak truth to power. And I want you to know that the American people in the final analysis will understand how divisive this president is, how dangerous he is, and how he is pitting us against each other. So I know that he's going to call Maxine Waters every time that he is in one of these rallies. But, you know, my classmates from St. Louis, Missouri, who I went to school with years ago, can't believe that the President of the United States of America is focused on this woman who was a little girl raised up in St. Louis, Missouri, one of 13 people who lived in poverty, who worked very hard, started working when she was 13 years old in a segregated restaurant, could now be the focus of the President of the United States of America. So I'm getting calls from all over.
Well, he might know that you would become the chair of the Financial Services Committee and maybe subpoena his tax returns. I think that might have something to do with it a little bit, and you calling out on the Russia investigation so much. But I do, you know, I would be remiss if I didn't ask. This is the first interview I've seen with you since the threats that you received, that about 15 that we know threats from a Floridian, an extremist, a very fervent Trump fan who sent mail bombs to multiple Democrats. The leader Pelosi and others. In this kind of a climate where speech can actually produce violence.
Yes.
How do you respond to that? I mean, how do you live with that, and how do you respond to it?
Well, first of all, I think that what has happened with the targeting of individuals who have basically, you know, been opposed to this president should tell the American people something about what is going on. And all of us who were targeted are simply saying that the President of the United States is taking this country in the wrong direction, that it is dangerous, that it is divisive, and he continues to dog whistle to his constituency out there, and he's promoting violence. I'm accustomed to being threatened. We have had at least one individual indicted who threatened to kill me. I have many threats to kill me from different places in this country. So I'm accustomed to being threatened. And while I am not foolish, I'm wise enough to understand that I need to have some security, particularly in various circumstances. I'm not afraid, and I'm not intimidated, and he cannot stop me. I'm going to continue to talk about how he has defined himself as this divisive and dangerous man that's running this country. And I think in the final analysis, after it's all over, that the American people are going to understand that we deserve better than this, that we need a president who has basic good values. He does not have them. He does not care about anyone but himself. And so I'm comfortable with the fact that he has a target on my back and that I'm threatened. I will continue to do my work, and I will not back down, not for 1 second.
And Congresswoman, if you should become the chair of the Financial Services Committee in the House, are you going to subpoena Donald Trump's tax returns?
If I am the chair of the Financial Services Committee, which I deserve to be, you know, I've served on the committee long enough to have the most experience, and I have the support of my colleagues. I'm going to do credible work, which includes not only dealing with the biggest financial institutions in this country, the banks, etc., making sure that we never have another meltdown the way that we had in 2008, where so many homes were foreclosed on. I'm going to be about housing and making sure that we do everything that we can to have affordable housing, because there's a crisis in this country. I'm going to support my colleagues in attempting to make sure that we support Obamacare or the ACA and health care for everybody. And I will continue some of the work that I started in looking at banks that launder money, rather, and that is like Deutsche Bank. The president has had some involvement, a lot of involvement with Deutsche Bank. For example, they're the only bank that will lend money to him. None of the other banks will give him credit because of the way he has not really conducted himself to repay the loans that he's been involved in, and the lawsuits that he's done to avoid paying them. So Deutsche Bank is on my radar screen, because we have requested information from the treasurer about Deutsche Bank and money laundering. So I'll be credible in doing my work. He is not the only thing that I'm concerned about in that committee. All of the other things that I've alluded to are on my radar screen also.
And I think they have all been now put on notice. Congresswoman Maxine Waters, thank you for spending some of your Sunday with us. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. And coming up, some very